What's going on, good people?
What's crack-a-lacking?
How's everybody doing?
Right, it's the first one of the year, bruh.
First stream of the year.
Man, can you believe it? What number show is this? What episode is this, bruh?
This is actually number 23, if my math serves me correct.
23, if my Cuban people are checking this out.
Oh Lord, now you're Cuban, y'all. I went to Cuba one
Ay, ay, ay,
time.
ay.
Went to Cuba one time for a few days. He's
Bruh.
coming back, man, with the whole
My heart beats the rumba clave, bruh.
speaking Spanish, playing rhythms.
They thought I was Cuban out there, bro. They started talking a bunch of stuff like, no speaking English, Espanol. Bruh.
Man, it's always, Cubans, Dominicans. It's like they
Right,
all come from Africa, so
right.
don't want to hear that.
Right,
But
right.
that's where y'all from. So you got every shade in the color section, man.
I swear I saw somebody from the Ninth Ward in New Orleans, bro. It was a Cuban dude, bro. I was like, yo, what how laissez-les bon temps related? Dude looked at me like, what? I was like, bro, you look like you straight out the Ninth Ward. He said,
Straight
"Por
out
qué?"
the
I
Ninth
was like,
Ward,
"Wow."
man. Straight out
Yeah.
the Ninth Ward,
Yeah.
dude. I mean, I remember when the first time I saw like black Cubans.
Yes.
And that tripped me out. I was like, wow, really?
Right.
Okay. You don't just when you're young, you don't really, pay attention to stuff like that.
Right,
man.
right.
But, yeah, man. But that's one off your bucket list, man. It's on mine.
Yeah.
So we gotta make it happen. Maybe that'll be one of my goals. Who knows?
Ooh, a little preview.
A little preview, man. A little
Wow.
preview, man. So, but thanks everybody for joining us. Got some people coming in here to hang out with us on this Chop It Up Tuesday, episode number 23. If you are joining us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, what else we got? That's all we got. We
on X?
No, Instagram is there, and I figured it out, but you have to do it. I may try to, because you have to copy and paste your
URL.
Your URL. So, excuse me, I may try that tonight and see what happens here, because you can edit where people see, and when you let me see. So Chop It Up. You gotta, so it's still a little tricky. So let me back on
experimentation for the new year, bro. I like it.
Yeah. So, and that'll be good because we have a lot of people on IG that don't even mess with Facebook, and I'm actually heading that direction because it's just, man, I was talking to my wife, and it was like what Facebook started out as and what it has become is something completely different.
Oh, yeah, bro.
I don't know how other people feel about that. I know guys that they don't even have one. They've never even, just because of the, whatever they don't like about it. But it's, it started out as something pretty cool, but it's ended up being a little interesting to me.
You can get a lot of arguments on Facebook, bro.
Commentary, and it's like, nobody really sees what if you're a musician, you're posting your gigs, you're posting whatever. There's so much, there's so much other stuff going on. People never really even see your stuff anyway. I never see. I mean, I'll see some people's.
Yeah, the algorithm is a trip
post, but it's all about like ads and people I don't want to see. Actually, no offense, but that's how it is. But if you are on YouTube, Facebook, whatever, give us a like, follow us on our Facebook page, which is kind of more of where I'm kind of going, is having that the artist page kind of thing.
Right.
But if you're on that, give us a like, throw us a comment, tell us what you dig, what you don't dig, all those kinds of things. We're trying to come up and do some different things in 2024. And so give us a like. That helps out a lot, especially on YouTube. All of the episodes are documented in the live category on YouTube. So some people have asked me about, I don't see the stream. I'm like, well, it's now that it's going live directly to YouTube, it's going to be in the live category. And I don't know if there's a way, maybe I have to mess around with the way where I can put them in everything in one category, but I'll have to check that out and see exactly how that works. But give us a like, give us a holler. And we very much appreciate that. It's been a crazy end of the year. Both of us actually were a little under the weather.
Yes.
And I know several other people as well. I just got my legs back, dude. I mean, just really today is the first day that, I mean, the last couple of days have been okay, but just still that weak in the legs. What is that, man? That weak in the legs feel? That's the worst, man.
Right, bro. It's like, lay down, bro. Just lay down.
I mean, but I got a chance to finally get into a couple things and clean up and do some stuff around the house, and without getting so tired. So gonna jump back in the saddle. Looks like I'm jumping back on the horse tomorrow night with the Mike Veal band over at Tin Roof. I was debating. I was like, man, do I have the stamina and the energy to play that? But I guess we'll just find out, won't we?
You might have to, bro. What time y'all hit?
8:30 to 12 over at the Tin Roof Cantina, North Druid and Briar Cliff. So come on over.
I might come check that second set out, bro.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
And other than that, just getting back to normal, and it's been a crazy weekend of football overload. I'm overdosed, bro. I mean, you know me.
Right.
I was like today I was like, man, I don't know if I can take too much of that. You had the college playoff and the NFL combo stuff going on.
Hey, did it live up to the hype though?
It pretty much lived up to the hype, man. Both of those games were super, super entertaining. People are, all the SEC folks are mad upset about.
You got a little smile though, bro.
I mean, I at this point, dude, because I hate Michigan. Obviously, being a Notre Dame fan, Michigan is not my cup of tea. But it's nice to just be an innocent bystander and not have any and then just kind of watch and see all the fallout. But there was a lot of fallout. Alabama fans crawling. I ain't heard from them. Somebody said Alabama fans don't feel bad because they doing rollbacks at Walmart on paper towels, toilet paper. All kind of. Oh man, it was hilarious.
Oh, that's cool.
It was a good one. It was real good. It was real good. So,
and Georgia fans right now.
Well, they seething because they know they would have crushed any of those teams probably in there, but they lost to Alabama. I mean, which still doesn't make sense, but it is what it is.
Right.
So next year's the 12 team playoff, so everything should work out. You know,
and you have some other teams.
It'll work out pretty cool. So, but yeah, man. So you just getting over your little illness and
it had me down, bro.
Trying to, man. That's just we had church on Sunday for New Year's Eve.
I didn't have any energy. They was like, "Hey, the pastor's late. Do some more music."
Everybody was late, man. We should have. I don't know why they even had. It was like everybody was done, dude.
I was like, nah, we ain't doing no extra music. Man.
Pastor's wife coming in late, man, setting up the camera. She looked like she wanted to stay home.
Right.
I'm like, man, it's the last one. Everybody, dude, because we got there. What time we got there? About we were kind of running like
I was there. I was there a little bit earlier, but
I guess I got there about 15 till or something like that. There was nobody, and then it was like everybody. And then I saw some people coming in late. Man, they know church started at 10 o'clock. People coming in at 10:45.
The choir when the choir got there, bro. We didn't have a full choir to start at 10 o'clock, bro.
Man, dude, it was.
We didn't have 3 people, bro.
It was cut and paste, and paste. But you know, it was good to close the year out, man. And
Right.
at church, they're doing some cool things, doing some renovations and stuff. So shout
Right.
out to First Riverdale. So what's the
First Riverdale United Methodist?
United? Yeah, so it's the wording that always messes you up.
Right.
There's so many United. Is it United Methodist? You know.
Right.
So yeah, man. So, but you've been off from school and getting a little break from those kiddos.
Yeah, believe it or not, we start back on Monday, bro. It seems like it's just
man.
But this is cool, man. Been able to just kind of breathe and do some other things, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But man, and just I did some house stuff today too, just moving some stuff, reorganizing. I got to get in this studio and just get rid of a whole bunch of stuff that I'm not using.
Yeah, man. I mean, we did a lot of that stuff over the last couple of months.
Right.
I just put new carpet in my studio, and so I had to take all that stuff out of that closet. All the drums had to move. Oh my! It's over. I'm glad I did it.
Right.
But man,
you didn't put it in the wife's living room, did you?
No, man. Okay. Well, stuff was in the dining room. It had to, because I mean, some stuff the day of I could just move out the door to the deck, right?
Right.
Like, you know, but I couldn't leave like my drums and stuff out there.
No, I couldn't do that.
So man, but that's over. Yeah, you got to get rid of that excess, man. You know,
right.
Some stuff's hard to part with, but you know, but so one thing is shout out to my sister Tammy, who made us calendars for the year.
What?
Well, so my sister owns 3 black cats.
Okay.
She's a cat person, right?
Right. We're not talking about jazz guys. We just talk about real cats.
Maybe that too.
3 jazz musicians.
No, I'm actually talking about felines.
Okay, very good.
You know what I'm saying? So she's always coming up with these incredible concepts. So she made a black cat calendar.
Wow.
Everybody can see this.
That is cold. Look at that.
With all black cats.
Oh, wow.
Playing drums, bro.
Oh, that is dope. I need one.
This junk is hilarious, bro.
Right.
Every month.
Oh, look at this one.
Is a different black cat.
Dang. Look at those drums. Are nice. They look like the ones that you got rid of, bro.
Shut up, man.
Oh, little ants.
Got the sailor cat, bro. Got the sailor. Got the
little Greek fisherman, bro. Okay. Oh, look at the hipster right there with a bow tie. 2 ties.
Yep. So anyway, shout out to her. And for the calendars, they just came today. And then yours. Check this one out, man. Check this one out.
Oh, that's mine?
That's yours, man. That's yours.
Oh, that is so dope. Oh, look at that.
So, but you got different.
I got multi-instrument.
Yeah, you got multi.
Oh,
look at that.
That is so dope.
Craig Shaw got Craig Shaw be jealous of that one.
Hey, isn't that ironic? Cat gut strings and the cat playing it. Wow. Oh, what month is that?
June.
Okay. Flip to November real quick. Let me see my birth month.
November. Let's see.
Ooh, that's dope too.
Let's see. Look at the trumpet, dude.
Yay!
All right, September, October, November.
Yeah.
That's you, man.
Ooh, it's a cool cat right there, bruh. Oh, that's dope.
So shout out to Tammy if she's in the chat.
Tammy.
Call. But very, very, very cool. So we're getting a lot of good, got some great comments about that. We got Jackie Howard. Nice to see you on Sunday, Jackie. Jackie says, I love the calendars. Great work, Tammy. Of course, I'm being sarcastic because Jackie wasn't at church.
That's what
She
I was
might
about
have
to
been
say.
at another church, but she wasn't at our church.
No.
So, but that's all good. I'm sure she was in church somewhere. We got the great John Lamatina.
Lots
Says
of
lots of good cats play
drums.
drums.
Mm-hmm.
And Brian Falgoose says it is Jazz Cats. Now, there's a cat person in this chat. Maybe she left, but I'm surprised she hadn't commented on that. But I'm going to pull her up anyway.
Right.
Tia Rick says, Happy New Year's, guys. And I thought Tia would have something to say about these calendars.
I know cats, right?
Tia loves cats, man.
Right.
So maybe she had to step out for a second. But I just knew she would dig that. Oh, there she is. Tia says, love them.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, man. So great to see everybody. I've got a something that I've been just trying to, I don't even know why it's taken. Some things, man, you talk yourself out of forever, right? Fear, rejection, whatever that is. And, but shout out to you for really sort of getting my mind back going, man, on trying to get my own thing back together and getting that back off. And how many things I have that are just are sitting that either haven't been released or haven't been
much
finished,
stuff
recorded.
So don't even get me started with
I know. So my goal, one of the things that I'm pushing really this year is going to be working on my stuff, working on my recordings and my band. And we had a great show at the later on last year over at the Balzer. And but we are going into the studio on Friday to start the recording process, which I'm very, very excited about. And just biting off a little bit at a time, though. I feel like for me, I get overwhelmed pretty easily. You get overwhelmed. You try to bite off more than you can chew. You try to do a whole bunch of stuff at one time, and it can really mess with your mind a little bit. So I don't know if you agree with that or not.
I just want you to put it out, bro.
I got you.
So much stuff in the vault. I want to be able to hear it before we can't play it anymore, bro.
Some of that stuff we probably can't play because we tried to play. So it was like, what in the heck were we on?
I'm telling you, please release some of this stuff.
It was like, where was the drugs that day? Because I can't even understand how I could play like that.
Right.
But I found out, man, I was like, you know what, man, I'm just gonna bite off. And this actually started because there's another project that I started working on with Paul Fisher and Neil Walkup, kind of an organ, a groove organ.
That's dope too.
Project. So we got in and we but you know what, we said, man, let's just do one tune. Let's go with one. Really work on that, man. And the process was so beautiful for that because you could just really kind of focus on that one thing, and that was it. So I'm sort of carrying what I learned from that project over to mine, and we're just gonna start working on one thing at a time, man. There's no rush, but the important thing is to just do it, right?
That is.
So, the topic of this show, I guess we just call it 2024 goals, which is the big thing at the beginning of the year. Everybody's like, oh, what's your goals, man? What are you going to do? And, blah, blah, blah. And people come up with these elaborate things that, and that's cool because you have to have sort of long-term goals, I guess you could say. And then you have short-term goals, right? But what I've found is that a lot of people, they get, how should I say, seduced by what other people think they should be doing instead of what you think you should be doing. And I know that that's one thing. So people set unrealistic things because it's like, man, you're not going to, you're just saying that to make to make it look like more important than it is, or because you heard somebody else tell you what you should be doing. And I have found, at least in my personal life, that to be a complete failure, is to listen to what somebody else says I should be doing versus what I know. Now, of course, you have people's opinions that you respect that are close to you. Um, and sure, you're always open to opinions, or if you ask for people's advice, or you may just ask, man, want to work on something, but I'm not sure what it is, or blah 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 blah. You might get some feedback and some input from somebody that you respect, but for the most part, it's really about knowing what you want to do, what you want to achieve. I think
Right.
is the biggest thing, and not everybody wants to achieve the same thing, right? For some
Right.
people, it's you know, it can be just something as simple as, I just want to get better. I just want to get, that's
Right.
all. And that's fine. That's totally cool, because at least it gives you something to shoot for, that number one, that you can carry through with, and that it's all about personal growth, right? So, but the hardest thing I feel like is when you listen to what other people say, or you hear what other people's goals are, and then you think you should be doing
Right.
the same thing that somebody else is. And
Adding that to
that's
it.
like a big one, man. And it's never easy. Um, but it does help to write things down. That is
Oh yeah.
to have some source of, you see it every day, whether it's on
Right.
a post-it, or
Right.
you have a journal, notebook, or whatever. Those are always good things to have, because it just keeps that sort of in the front of your mind, right? Because it's easy to, especially as you have family, you have bills, you have obviously stress
Mhm.
from, all kinds of different things going on as you grow older. So to see things, I have a bunch of, I mean, you kind of seen my desk, so I have post-its all over the place,
Right.
and of just different for different things. But even though I might not necessarily get to that particular thing that particular day, but it's still there. It keeps it sort of in the front of my mind. So I find that to be helpful. And also just start with setting a few short-term goals, because
Right.
long-term
Right.
goals can be overwhelming at times,
Yeah.
because especially if you think like, man, you're working at something, and then you have this thing that you've never even started or begun to even start, so
Right.
starting with a few short-term goals. So just the thing for me was, what, I gotta get this stuff recorded. I gotta start putting stuff out. So
Mhm.
let's nibble, not try to eat the whole meal.
Right. Right.
And I'm having success with those sort of baby steps. So if
Well,
that helps anybody, I'm not sure, but that's just my journey.
if anyone has ever done a CD project before, and it's like your first time doing it, you think that your timeline is everything. You think, oh, okay, I'll record all the songs within 3 months. I'll mix in a week. I'll master it, and then I'll release it. Blah blah blah.
Hmm.
Then you get into the studio for the first time, and you only cut 2 songs, and you're like, oh snap. Well, okay, can't. Well, I got to go back and do some overdubs. Then you go do some other ones. The next thing you know, it's mixing time, and then the mix is not quite where it needs to be, but your timeline changes, and you're like, oh, you got to be more malleable, right? You have to be like, okay, I'm going to put this together. I have an overarching goal, but I can't just, to make music or to make art, just be such a stickler, right? You
Hmm.
have to kind of like you said, take these little nibbles. So, I mean, I salute you going to the studio doing one song, because most times we go in there and try to maximize for our money, right? We're like,
Right.
okay, I
Right.
figure I got 4 hours. I pay the
Right.
cat a certain amount of money. Let's
Right.
see how many tunes we get in 4 hours. And
Right.
I'm like, but yeah, what about a concept that pops up? I still have sheet music, Chris, from when I went to the studio. My sheet music said one thing, and then after we recorded it, we came up with a better concept on a better, but I hadn't changed the chart.
Right.
So whenever I do that song with anybody else, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember when we got in the studio, we thought this was too long. We changed up this here, blah blah
Right.
blah. You know,
Right. Right.
those kind of things happen. But when you set goals, you have to kind of talk to people who's done what you're looking to do.
Mm-hmm.
Get a multitude of counsel, and then don't beat yourself over about it. But don't stack up too many goals. It's going to be too much stuff to do. You
Mm-hmm.
know,
Mm-hmm.
kind of find what you're going to work on for 2024 or what you're doing. And I have a friend of mine. She's a CrossFit person, right? She said the worst time for the gym is January and February.
Because everybody's there, right?
Everybody's coming in. She's like, but right after February, nobody's coming back. I always set these goals and stuff, and she said it's just wasting our time. They own the machines, don't know how to use them.
Right.
Just posing for the mirrors and stuff. And we're like, oh, I can't wait till they get out of here. So
Right. Right.
she can't wait till March happens.
Right.
That
Right.
shows
Right.
you right there. You got 12 months in a year, and you're quitting after the second month. So
Right. Which is worse than starting it in my opinion is even worse, because then you beat yourself up for that.
Right.
You know, you starting something, don't finish it. Starting something, don't finish it. You know, I don't know what other people have gone through there. If you're in the chat, you want to discuss or or talk about your journey on certain things. Feel free, drop us a comment about that. But I find that worse, man, is when you don't follow through with stuff.
Well, we get it too. Think about, you get a new crop of students that come in, probably got a drum set or a piano for Christmas.
Right.
And they want to take lessons. They come in
Sure.
gung-ho.
Right.
And we know that they're going to burn out. We know, I can see it. Be like, pace yourself, bro.
Right.
You have to learn all these songs. Want to do this. Okay, let's just work on your fundamentals. They can't do that because they want to play songs right. And I'm going to be a better blah, 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 blah.
Right.
Dude.
Right.
You cannot start off. This is a marathon. This is not a 100-yard dash, whatever.
Right. When they find out it's work and it's hard, you know. But that's even more. And that's the thing is, like, man, some things, that's why you do take those smaller steps, I mean, of course, it's like the older you get, you're like, man, I wish I'd have known this when I was 20 years old, but it's just those things that you learn along the way. And I especially, like, you have to know yourself, and you have to kind of know, first of all, what you want to accomplish and whatever it is that you're doing. I know you have some things that are gonna sting a little bit just to talk about, because, man, I find it really interesting when you talk to your peers about, what are you doing, man? What are you what are you working? What you working on? What you doing, man? I find that is can somewhat be a sore subject, with some people, but we'll discuss that. We got a couple of other comments. We got Linda Holiday.
Uh-oh.
What's up, Linda?
Well,
Happy New Year's, dude. Your carrot cake was a hit.
Wow.
It was a hit. She made a carrot cake that I got from her for the fam. So that was a hit. Actually, she brought samples to everybody at the show at the Balzer.
Oh yeah, yeah,
man, that
I remember that.
Fantastic.
Right.
And we got the Mancini Golden Glove fish. Oh, I guess he's talking about Paul Fisher.
Oh, Golden Glove.
Man, Paul Fisher, fellow guitar player Anthony Mancini. What's going on, Mancini? Hope you're
Tony.
Right. Yeah, man, Tony. Have you ever gone by Tony though, Anthony? That's what I want to know. I know that some cats don't like that, man. When you start telling them what their name is,
Bruh, I remember Anthony, bruh. He was playing jazz and stuff, bruh. He got in the pep band at Kennesaw. Dude, they were worshiping that dude. That dude was stand up doing all these shredding solos and stuff. People would be going crazy. Like, they were like, do you know Anthony Mancini? I was like, dude, I'm his teacher. Yeah, know him because he know me.
The cult hero.
Right.
the cult hero. But
Right,
yeah,
man.
man. So but let's dive into this a little bit. So one of like I said, I kind of started off with one of the goals is, because I was sort of starting to, especially how I've been feeling, and I'm like, oh man, I don't have the energy, man. I'm not gonna. You sometimes you will just find a way to get out of stuff for no reason. But then I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
man, fight that, fight that, fight that. Let's just go ahead and do it. We're gonna do one song and get the ball rolling. So that's one of my goals that hopefully God foreseeing will happen this week, and looking forward to it very much. So I talked to you a little bit about, we had a little meeting earlier, and you
Right.
talked a little bit about some of the things that you've got on your plate. So why don't you tell everybody what's going on there?
Right. So, when we were both of us was down for the count, man. So I was just laying in the bed just for like 3 days.
Mhm.
And so forcing myself not to do anything was rough, but I couldn't. I just physically couldn't do anything. So it was the best thing for me, right?
Right.
So, man, after I was getting better, I ventured downstairs by the piano. Man, I just put the metronome on, started running stuff, and I was like, oh wow, my left, what's up with my left hand?
Mm.
I was like, how is this so lazy? And I'm like, wait, I've been playing gigs, but I haven't been shedding.
Right. Right.
So man, I put in a good hour and a half and I found myself smiling. But it was like rough though. It was like sledding. It was like
Mhm.
getting back in the thing. I was like, man, this so I went upstairs, achy, and stuff. And I was feeling a little bit bad about myself because I was like, man, how did I let myself get to this point where my left hand is so flabby? And then I
Mhm.
started just trying to sight read some stuff, and I'm like trying to get that back and working on some drop two voicings, which I never really worked on in every key. I just do my favorite keys stuff.
Mhm.
And man, I felt so accomplished, but I knew I had so much more work. And we were talking about pacing yourself. I'm
Right.
like, Rome wasn't conquered in the day. So I'm saying, talk to myself, go
That's
upstairs.
right.
My wife was like, hey man, that sounds pretty good.
Mhm.
I said, man, I sound so out of shape, whatever. She's like, well, out of shape, in shape. She's like, I'd love to see that you got your passion again. I said,
Right.
yeah. I said, I do. I was like, I've been in this academic world doing so much stuff and doing things. I haven't gotten back to my first love. The
Mhm.
next day, got down there, set the metronome again, did it. And I was like, man, okay. So one of my goals is to just kind of whatever's going on in my life to not neglect this. And that's like one of the things. Let me just add this to the thing real quick.
Okay.
So, I saw this picture. We set a goal, right?
Mhm.
You make a plan, you get to work, you stick to it, and before you know it, you reach the goal, and then you see like a little happy face, right?
Right.
But I think what we're talking about is when you make your plan, you got to get to work and you got to stick to it. But where's the passion at in all this, right? Where is it that you say this is what I'm going to do regardless because I see that I've been inundated with other people's gigs. I've been
Ooh.
inundated with other
Ooh.
people's stuff,
Ooh.
right?
Ooh. Oh. I'm gonna leave this. Let's leave this up, man. I like that. Let's leave this up for a while.
Yeah,
And
I've been doing other people's stuff and neglected myself. And we talked about this. I, I I hate the word selfish, but what is it? Other people are doing their thing, and I'm supporting their goals.
right. Which
I
is
sup-
fine. Which is
right.
fine.
That's fine. I mean, we're sidemen too, right?
Right.
And our job is to serve the leader, right?
Right.
But am I really helping out myself? Like, think about it. We lost a lot of people in 2023. A
Mhm.
lot of people gone.
Mhm.
And I don't know how much more time I have left on this planet, but I got more to do in 2024 for myself.
Right.
And I was like, man, I practiced today. I practiced every day this week.
Right.
And I'm like, man, that fire is starting to come back. I'm working on things that's going to help me in 2024, but I
Mhm.
got to take time for myself. Not that you can't support other people, but I got to start doing some stuff for myself, man.
Well, we've talked about, and I think, when did this start? Maybe about 3 years ago, 4 years, where I was going through some things,
Right.
just career, more just career wise, and
Right.
trying to kind of figure out, it's like you get to a certain point to where it's like, your main goal, I guess, as a professional musician is to what? Is to have gigs, right?
Right.
To
Right.
make money. So you're making money, you have gigs. The real work, or um the realness, for I think that when it really starts, the complexity of what it really is to be a working musician, is what happens when you do have a bunch of gigs.
Right.
Because now you're at a point, depending on what you do or what you play, or where where you play, um because now you're busy, and you're super busy, and you're like, you're gigging X amount of nights a week, whatever. You've probably have some kind of church thing on top. Most guys, tend to find
Mhm.
a church. So you're steady working. Now, for some cats, I maybe that's cool. That's their whole thing. All they want to do is play. That's fine. But what happens, and what we've seen over the years,
Mhm.
is a lot of these guys, that they get real bitter later in their careers, because they didn't work on anything, just as you talked about, for themselves.
Right.
And whether that's, man, having your own gig once a month, or once every 2 months, at a place, or something that you can look forward to, that is really just feeding your creativity and what you want to do.
Mhm.
I've several friends of mine about that. When we had, obviously, a lot more places to play,
Mhm.
uh you would have a gig, I would have gigs, at different places. We were playing at Elliott Street, we were playing at church. We had all these little spots that you could set up, gigs at, or whatever, just during the week, man, to give you
Right.
some sort of creativity. We don't
Right.
necessarily have as much of that
Right.
um anymore, so it gets a little tricky. But there's still things that you can kind of do. But what I've experienced is the cats that never ever take that, I guess, I mean, for them it might be a risk, because they've never really had their own trio, or their own band, or their own
Right.
anything. And that's a big, and again, you can get overwhelmed by, oh my gosh, this is a big, and I totally understand that. But you got to have something for yourself. So I guess my question to you, we started talking about two very important words:
Mhm.
saying no. And we've had some really deep conversations about that, because that's a difficult thing for us to do, especially as, independent contractors. Because what's your greatest fear? Is, oh my God, if I say no, somebody else is going to jump into that slot.
You know what's funny though? I came across an acronym because you said the word busy.
Yeah.
Wait till you get this, bruh.
Okay.
An acronym for busy is because you said yes. You
Mm-hmm.
you're busy
Mm-hmm.
because you said yes to
Right.
everything.
Right.
And like you said, it's like it's a two-edged sword because you're like, man, I don't want people to forget about me. I still want to play. I want to do this kind of stuff.
Right.
But instead of saying no, I say yes, and then I get busy.
Right.
And I was like,
Right.
oh man,
Right.
because you said yes is a great acronym for busy.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so saying no, and we talked about talked about this. I said yes on something and I instantly regretted it.
Instantly.
I was like, oh man, now you got to try to get out of it. The last thing that I did, I just told the person honestly, I didn't try to back out. I mean, I didn't try to like sugarcoat it. I was like, look, it's not going to work for me.
Right.
And I felt crappy about saying that. But then I felt good at the same time too. But I'm like, okay.
Right. Right.
And look, when you're a young musician, you need to take everything.
You take everything. That's why I was just going to bring that. Yeah, you take it's.
Exactly.
We're talking about down the line, and even in the you know, you've been established at whatever it is that you do. It doesn't necessarily have to be music. It can be in your, your everyday job, or you have a certain status. But yeah, when you're young, there is no.
No, you got to
you take everything
because you're learning.
Go ahead,
I mean,
right?
This is for you to learn, and we still learn, but it's like you're a kid. You're just absorbing everything. Like a child has to be inundated with books. You can't just put a TV on with a kid because they're malleable. They're taking stuff in,
Right.
And so young musicians, you gotta take the $20 gigs, the $8 gigs, the no money gigs,
right?
Because you're out there, you don't know enough,
right?
You're learning.
It's all experience,
right? But then you get life, and you have things that you want to accomplish. Like, okay, let's say, Chris, you got to go into the recording session, right?
Mm-hmm.
Somebody calls you Friday, say, "Man, I got a big money gig. I need you on it. $500."
Mm-hmm.
It's only an hour, but it's at same time as your recording studio time.
Right.
What you gonna do?
I got to turn it down.
Right.
Because as we've also talked about, not all money is good money. Now, listen, we're talking about, we're being general here because we know that people have different sets of circumstances that they live. So if you got, obviously you got 10 kids, I mean, it's all relative to where you are in your life. What we're kind of talking about is just the designing a plan that works for you. Right. And that's the most important thing, and is designing a plan. Now, of course, that doesn't mean that you do what you want to do at all times. That's not what we're saying, because there's certain things we still have to do that we don't necessarily want to do. But there's it's just like anything else, man. It's like once you gain so much experience at one thing, you start to learn where to draw the line on certain things.
Right.
That's kind of like what we're talking about is, once you learn how to draw that line and you know where that line is, just like you said yes to something instantly. You're like, oh, right. So you're kind of still, you're there, right? But it's like you're still, that line is it's in focus, but it's just a little, you're still kind of figuring out that parameter as to, because you're a helpmeet, man. You're a cat that wants to help to help everybody and be there for everybody. I think we're both like that in a way. It was just like, I don't know, for me, I began to feel used by certain situations,
because cats make your
or not respected. So that both of those things, that's what I started to clock, was like disrespect, and then this cat is just using me for.
And cats mean well, because their goals, they want to fold it into to make their goals your goals. It's like, bro, we can do this together.
Man, that's gospel, right? That's so gospel.
It's like, we could do this together. There's a lot of talented piano players.
Right.
You can use them. Why you think you have to have me? And it feeds your ego. Oh yeah, they can't do it without me. Yeah, but if I got sick, they would do it without me. Right. But I can't absorb somebody else's goals unless it's that season for me to support. Like your goals, I'm down with you. I'm like, hey, bro, whatever I can help to do it. Even if I'm not on the project, bro, because I want to see you. I want to see you come out. I got 4 albums out or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But you
Mm-hmm.
still got some stuff in the vault. I'm like, bro, you need to get it out. And while the iron is hot,
Right.
strike, you know. So
Right.
you got a mission, you got something that going on with your goals. So hey, I'm there to support you. So I was like, hey, I'm gonna give it all like it's my project. You know what I'm saying? But the great thing about it is it's not my project. So
Right.
only person I got to worry about is Tyrone Jackson. So
Right.
Thursday
Right.
at rehearsal, all
Which
I
is a
got,
which is a freeing. It's
oh,
a freeing thing.
it's the best thing in the world, bro.
Right. Right.
When you had the gig and you had to decide the setup and all this kind of stuff, I could just crack jokes, man. It was
Right.
beautiful. Man.
I was like, you turned into me. I was
Like,
like,
hey, bro, did we
oh.
get to keep these rugs, bro? These little area rugs is nice, man.
I was like, oh my, I've created a monster. I've created
Right.
monsters. Now
Yeah.
everybody, but yeah.
But you're the leader. You had to think about everything.
Right.
All I had to
Right.
worry about was
But that's like, there's certain people that, you have sort of that cat or cats that have you that you've been working together so long, you have each other's back. You can't expect it's not everybody, and I know where people want to,
and neither can you give that to everybody too.
well, this is where people start to go, oh, it's a click. Everything. It's like, man, everything is a click. I don't know what people that ain't in no click. It's like, that's because you haven't developed those kinds of relationships.
Hey, don't you have your mechanic? I had my mechanic. My mechanic went to jail, but
it comes down to people that you trust.
Exactly.
So you can call it what you want.
Call it what you want to call it.
But it's and that's everywhere, man. And it's like, and it's okay. It's like, I've figured out early on there's certain situations I'm not going to be accepted in, and that's cool. It hurts. You may at first your ego may be hurt. Your whole, you get emotional about the whole thing, but on certain levels, you're like, you know what? I don't fit into that anyway. As much as I would love to be a part of, XYZ, I don't fit XYZ. And I think that's a self-awareness thing that, some folks, they just don't have. It's like, man, you got to have some kind of self-awareness, man, because everything is about a fit at the end of the day. It's about where you fit. It's not about it. Skill becomes, I don't want to say it's irrelevant, but I mean, obviously skill is important, but it does become more about, are you a fit for certain things? And in sports, there's certain teams where it's like, man, yeah, this cat's not necessarily the best player on the team, but he fits a certain role for this team. I have to have him in there because he makes the team better. So this is the way music works as well, is, some people are just a better fit on certain situations than others. And that's not a bad thing.
Right. I mean, that's the same thing when I was working at a church where I was doing everything, leading the choir, playing this, watching the drummer, doing all those kind of things. Then I got played at Church of the Apostles where it had a great band, and all I had to do was just worry about myself.
Right.
And I was like, oh, this was great. And then it came to a point where one day somebody came in and just started singing something off the cuff, and I picked it up. And they were like, whoa. And I was like, yeah, I do this all the time, but I haven't had to do it,
Right.
I kept my chops up, Chris.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I kept working. I was, I looked at it as, to stay ready and be ready,
Stay ready, be ready.
So when that happened, the music minister looked at me like, wow, I didn't know you could do that. And I was like, yeah. And this same thing happened. Remember, we had a gig and I was coming in town. I had to hire another keyboard player just in case I didn't make it. And the lady had a chart, right? And it was like 11 pages. And I don't think you had ever seen me like sight read stuff before. And I played it with the lady, ran it down, and you like, bruh, you need to tell more people that you can do this.
Right.
I was like, yeah, I don't want to do this. Just because I can do it doesn't mean I
Right.
And so that goes to get back to what you're saying. Like, just because I can do it or I can feel needed in that arena doesn't mean I want to do it. Because once they find out that, I'm a decent reader and I get all these Broadway shows and all, I mean, that's not what I want to do.
Right. And you have to be honest about that.
You gotta be honest.
What do you, at a certain point. Now, again, we're being relative with what it's
Right.
depending on what your circumstances are. Because if you need work, the
Yeah, you
Broadway
gotta,
show calls, you're going to do that
oh
work.
yeah,
It's
you
not,
gotta
you're
do
not
it.
saying that, but what you're trying to do is you're trying to, especially in the latter part of your career, it's like
Right.
you've already done so much for so many other people, especially if you've dedicated your life to mostly being a sideman,
Right.
right? Now,
Right.
some guys, man, that's their thing, that's their forte, that's and they're great at that, and that's the only thing that they want to do.
Right.
Um, but if you have other aspirations, if you have other interests, it's that's kind of like it's trying to sculpt that out. Is the first thing I think is just like we're talking about, man, is saying no to, and it may hurt
Right.
because anything, most things that are going to be worth doing and that are going to be beneficial to you in the long run. Hey, man, it's not going to be easy.
Right. Right.
It's not going to be easy. And I'm also a firm believer that, when you hold on to certain things. It's just like you were talking about cleaning out. You got stuff that you need to clean out of those closets, stuff that you need to
Yeah.
clean out of that room. This is the same thing for us as humans, right? Is you got
Right.
to clean these things out. If you are holding on to something, it's blocking God from blessing you with something else, because
Right.
that space is already occupied. You have to let go of that thing in order to get something new in. And I think that's the hardest thing,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it is a huge risk, man.
It
It's a
is.
huge risk, and it's like, you stepping out there butt naked, no clothes on. Hey, but again, what did we talk about last week? Betting on yourself. At
Yeah.
some point, you have to bet on yourself.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
Do your
um,
research, right? Too. When you're gonna set a goal or whatever, and you gotta stick to it, sometimes it's cutting stuff out and cutting out some of these relationships in 2023.
which is hard, man.
It's hard because it's people, right?
It's hard.
But they understand when they have to make their things.
Everybody has to make decisions based on what's best for them.
Right.
That's what
Right.
most people do. Most people, it's easy to call somebody selfish, right?
Right.
Because some people, yeah, they only do think about themselves, and that's not correct. That's not the way to be. You have to give at the same time. But there is a fine line between, I guess, what you would call
Driven.
driven, or yeah, and self-served, because yeah, there's,
Right.
I mean, that's the first thing that especially the stuff that the amount of people that we know, and the same people that we know, we come up with conversations about person X, and it's just like, man, all they in for is themselves.
Right.
I mean, that doesn't suit me. That doesn't suit me.
Right.
And but more power to them. If
Right.
that's the way that they have to survive, that's the way they have to survive. And that's,
Right.
nothing. It's nothing personal. It
No.
shouldn't be anything personal, but you have the same power to empower yourself, and
Right.
maybe you do it a little bit differently.
Right.
But I don't think there's any other way to be. You have to cut some things off. You have to cut some people off. You have to say no.
Right.
And then you also have to stick by it. You have to stand by that. You have to stand by
Right.
that decision, because it's not an emotional decision.
No.
It's not based on anything other than, hey, I have to do what's best for me and my family, period.
Right.
You know.
You got something here from Tia.
Okay.
Says, don't we look for certain skills, attitudes, and musicality that will work for certain situations? Fit is integral to a group.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's not forcing something, right? It's like
But some people do that.
yeah.
I need. It's like, well, we've been and we were like, man, what is this cat doing in your band? Or why are you working with this? But how many
Right.
times, man, have we literally had that conversation? It's just
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
oh, well, this person, okay.
You know, I tell my students that we're in sales. Like
Mm,
you're always whenever you play for somebody or whatever you're doing, you're selling them on you.
mm-hmm,
You're like, okay, person plays well. Oh man, that's a plus.
mm-hmm,
All right, person doesn't show up
mm-hmm,
on time. That's a
mm-hmm.
minus. So if you're getting these little nickel 95 gigs and you're not getting the bigger gigs, might be
Right,
because of you. Might be because you're selling, you're untrustworthy on the time aspect of getting there on time. So
right.
for a big gig, I can't afford to hire a cat that's going to possibly be late. For my other little nickel 95 gigs,
It's man, it's not an option.
it's not.
The lesser cat will get called.
The lesser cat will get called.
Period. End of discussion.
Right.
You know,
I know, man, I know there was one time, it was at Church of the Apostles, bro. They gave out the little Dundies awards like from the office. And so, man, we have like an end of the year party. I get I get an award, right? I was like, oh, what's this about? Person who's been late with the best excuse, right? I'm like, what is this? But I had been on the margin of being late so many times, like running in for rehearsal, that when I was really late, they didn't believe me. My garage, the spring broke and my garage door went down, right? So I was already on the crust of being late anyway. When the garage door went down, it just made me 15, 20 minutes late. So I told them, I was like, my garage fell down. And they're like,
Right.
laughing. I said, no, it's true. My garage fell down.
Right. But because you were late so many
How many times?
times.
But bro, do you know? So after that, I was mad that they gave me that award and mad at myself at the same time. So I said, I'm gonna show them. I'm coming on every time
Right.
early.
Right.
And bro, I did that for 8 months
Right.
and nobody noticed anything.
Right.
Then something happened, got a flat tire. I was late. They were like, oh, there he is. I'm like,
There he is.
I
Right.
was like,
You get labeled. Yep.
right. So it
Real
took
quick.
it took so long for me to break that label.
Right.
But that's what I was. I had to own it. I was like, that's what I was. I was this guy that was late, always on the friends and stuff like that.
Right.
And they gave me an award for it. I'm like, bruh,
Yeah.
you know?
You know
So
me. I don't want to hear nobody. I don't like. I don't want nobody to say anything to me. So anything I can eliminate,
right.
I'm gonna work on.
You cut people off fast though, bruh. I mean, you're compassionate in some ways, and other ways you're like, never again.
That's just because that's the Libra, dude. You know, I talk to all my Libra. We do not like trouble and drama, man. We are out. I can remember certain situations, man, where might be back in the day, you be at a club or something, or playing at a
Right.
club, or maybe going, you're in your early 20s and you still kind of going out to clubs or whatever, man. Something would break
Right.
out. I wasn't even trying to find out what. I was out, gone.
You got
And then
to.
I had to ask him, man, what happened? Because I'm just, man, I don't know what that, but when I've talked to other, they're like, man, yeah, like you Libras, man, we do not like, if we see trouble, we are going, but man, one of the funniest stories about that, so our brother Russell Gunn, right?
Right.
Telling me this story about I think he was like maybe walking his kid up to school or something like that.
Right.
He sees another brother come in the opposite direction, right? He's like, shit goes over to the other side, right? But the cat goes over to the other side too. He's like, dang, this cat's about to get me, man. So does it again. Walks over to the other side, and they bypass each other somehow, right?
Right.
20 minutes later, they see each other at a Starbucks, right?
Wow.
And they both, these brothers looked at him, he looked at me, And they both just started laughing. It was like, man, I thought you was gonna get me. He was like, no, man, I thought you was gonna get me.
Oh,
So
that's good. That's
it's
good.
just, I'm that same. It's like if I see somebody driving crazy, I'm like,
On the Converse, bro.
even though I do have road rage, I do have road rage. So, but I've been at this point, I'm just like, man, I'm out. I don't even want to. Y'all got it. You
Bro,
know,
on the other side of the coin, bro.
you,
Were you on that Dave Freeman gig, bro? Where Dave Freeman was the gig was like Virginia Highland, one of those areas, is back when Dave lived in that area, right? So the gig was so close he could walk to the gig. So he had a soprano in one hand and his tenor in the other hand, bro. He's walking, got a suit on. Bro, this dude,
I can already see that.
this dude had stole this lady's purse, right? And he was coming down the sidewalk, and she said, "Stop him!" like that. Dave Freeman said it was a big dude, bro. He said the dude looked at that Dave Freeman, and Dave Freeman, before he thought about it, he put his taxes down to try to tackle the dude. He said, "I swear the dude sped up." Plowed into him from that Dave Freeman down, bro. And the reason why I know this because when Dave Freeman showed up to the gig, man, he had like dirt spots on his face. Bro. His shirt was off the thing, and he's like, "What happened to you?" He's like, "This guys took a lady's purse and ran me down." I was like, "Bro, you need a minute or something, bro?" He said, "Yes." I was like, "How you didn't see that one coming, bro?"
I'm surprised he dropped the sound. I thought you were going to tell me he was like, "Oh well, can't drop my saxes. Gotta keep it moving. Gotta keep it moving."
Oh man,
that's funny, man. So we had a comment from John who says, "Very true." He was talking when we were talking about taking gigs. If you're needing to play, take any gig that comes your way, and that's where we both had our battles, man, with some of the younger guys on. Didn't you just tell me a story about they weren't going to do something because of the money or something or something and you were like, man, are you out of your mind? Like what have you
you haven't? I said you can't go on. You can't say you're not going to do this gig. I was like, you need to be paying them.
Right.
I was like, you don't know enough to do this. Well,
who are you? But like, that's what I'm trying to, because like, dude, when we were, here we go, because we really talking like we're the old guys now, but I don't ever remember thinking for a second about if somebody called me for a gig, I was grabbing my calendar and like, boom. I mean, it was,
think about it though. It's really, if they really thought about it, could they call you for like this kid telling me, "Hey man, call me for a gig"? I said, your teacher is right there.
Right.
I was like, what can you offer me more than your teacher is on my roster of people?
But that kind of stuff is like, it's just like, I don't know.
Offer me though. That's what if you want me to pay you, but you got to put yourself in my shoes. What can you offer me?
Right.
But me having to teach you on a gig, changes, how to play, whatever, it's going to be more work for me. Now, if you offer me, you say, "Hey, can you hire me on a gig? You don't even have to pay me." Okay, now you're offering me something.
Right.
You offer me the chance to help you out and at no cost to me.
Right. Which we used to do. Actually, man, the days of being the understudy, right? There was like, I can remember reading about great drummer Jack DeJohnette being an understudy to Elvin Jones. And, of course, there's the famous story of Jack sitting in with Coltrane's band in Chicago, back in the 60s, and Elvin was into a thing or two, so he was known to be late and not be there on time.
Right.
And Jack would be just sitting there ready to watch Elvin, and next thing you know, he got called up.
Right.
It's like, hey man, Elvin's gonna be late. You want to play? Opportunity, man. You have to be ready for opportunity. Now, is he there because he thinks Coltrane is gonna call him for a freaking gig?
No.
It's like, man, what are we doing? Like, I mean, there's a viral video going out now. I can't remember what this woman's name, talking about the jobs that real men shouldn't have and stuff like that. You work for the city and you do. It's just insane.
Oh,
And
wow.
so, and it's like, I was talking to another friend of mine about like what good has social media done? Like in terms of, other than, connecting you with maybe people that you had lost contact with, or, sometimes you really have to think about that. It's like, man, all it's done is like give voice to a whole bunch of busters that don't know anything but have now created this illusion of what's real and what's not real.
Well, that's why this show is so important right here, because imagine if we had this growing up, just to hear from.
Well, we did have it growing up, and it was being at the gig or being at the hang and listening to older people talk and tell stories and say that's what that was.
Give them a ride. Some of these old cats can't, so you had to give them a ride sometimes. Sometimes you have to pick them up, sometimes you have to, and that's where you got your knowledge from,
That's where you got your knowledge,
I remember Calvin Harrison, killing saxophone player. He's Donald Harrison's brother.
Yeah.
Killing saxophone is on right player. And he told me one time, I was young, he's a little bit older. And he said, hey man, we got rehearsal. I was like, okay. He said, you riding with me, I'm coming to pick you up. I said, okay. He says, now we're going to get there together. We're going to get there early. He said, let me tell you what's going to happen. And I'm listening to this guy. He says, somebody's going to be late for rehearsal. But then they set time for rehearsal from 7 o'clock to 8:30. He said, but what's going to happen is somebody's going to be late and they're going to try to stretch rehearsal to 9:30.
Right.
10 o'clock, depending on how late they are.
Right.
He says, we're going to get there early. So when they have to say anything, they can't say anything because we're going to. So sure enough, he says, when it happens, don't say anything. He said, you leave it to me. Don't say anything.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I'm like, cool. Well, we can go to 9:30, 10 o'clock. But
time is of no issue for at this
me.
point.
But I roll with him. Right. So what it taught me was, if I don't listen to him, he's gonna leave. He's gonna leave me, right?
Right.
And one of those cats will probably volunteer to take me home as long as I'm staying in rehearsal. So, anyways, we get there. Sure enough, 7 o'clock. We'd at 6:45. Drummer's not there. We're waiting and waiting. Drummer finally gets there, sets up. By the time it's 7:45, Calvin's not worried about anything. He's like, yeah, cool. We start playing. I see Calvin start packing up his home right at 8:30. I start packing up my stuff. Guys like, hey man, we were just getting good going on here like that. Calvin said, what time was rehearsal?
Right.
I said 7. So you know what Calvin said? He said, me and this man right here, we were here at 6:45. We were ready to go. And the guy's like, but we want to, the drummer was late. It's like, it had nothing to do with us. We were here on time and we're going to honor the time. And we both left. And I was like, man, I just learned something just now.
Right.
Because I was about to say, man, let's do it if it was me by myself. But I'm like, you have to teach cats how to treat you.
Right. And we've all been there,
Yeah. I wouldn't have learned that, Chris, if I wasn't under the tutelage of this guy who was older and wiser than me and had been there,
Right. Well, that would be a great goal for some of the younger guys to have is, find somebody that you can, it's not, and we know, for me, it's like, I remember, this cat, he actually wasn't even a drummer, Miguel Romero. Used to play with him, Cuban piano player, keyboard player, in New York City. Moved here, and I learned so much from that guy, And at first, it was like, I wanted to learn about whatever rhythms and different things. He was teaching me these rhythms, and he was, so I would say, hey man, well, what do you charge? What do you charge for lessons? He would say, well, I charge this much. I don't know how much it was at the time. I can't remember, but it got to be so he could see that I was so serious about it.
Mhm.
And the cat stopped charging after a while. He's like, man, I don't care about you. Serious? You into it? Come on over, man, and let's go over some stuff. Because a lot of times it's like we want to see, like, okay, well, are you serious about this or are you not? Because
Right.
a lot of time wasters, and so, but after a while, it's like, man, if you show that kind of dedication to what you're doing, you find the right person, they're not gonna keep charging you and asking for. It's just like, man, come on, man, just come over. We'll just work on some stuff, man. I don't care about that because the real thing is that you're trying to pass on. You're trying to pass down your knowledge. You're trying to pass down your information. That's really what what all experienced people want to do. They want to have someone,
and we want to pay it forward because it was done for us.
Right.
I can't tell you how many times a cat showed me something, man, and stuck with me.
Right.
George Cables took up his time, gave me some stuff, even gave me his girlfriend's phone number, which I didn't call. I should have called, because he said that's where I'm at all the time.
Right.
But somebody poured into George Cable's life,
Right.
And we're always really trying to look to replicate ourselves, but we got to see if somebody's, I don't want to say worthy, but if somebody's hungry.
Right. But that's the difficulty now is that you don't, because they're being fed by a different machine. They're being fed by the like button and the comments that getting the comments and stuff like that, which is, you have to stop thinking that the internet is real. I love, we all love it and use it, but it's like, man, that has nothing to do with reality. That's why when you get into the real situations, it's so foreign, and you get slapped upside the head because you're not living in that world. You're living in another world. But unfortunately, man, that's the lines are being blurred right now.
And that's why everything is so watered down too.
Well, yeah, and it's like convenience has taken over substance.
And the convenience is not even good anymore because the product that they issue now is not even convenient anymore. Case in point, I cooked for myself today because I was hungry, but I was like, man, we're already in a food desert in Riverdale anyway, right?
Right.
And I'm like, nothing. It could be convenient for me to just go pick up something.
Right.
It was like nothing there. It's going to be disappointing. Like the Chick-fil-A let me down.
Be disappointed, right? Yeah.
If Chick-fil-A lets you down, bro, something's wrong with the world, bro.
Right.
Because Chick-fil-A is always consistent. I was like, you know what? I'm not going to even waste the calories. I ain't going to waste the money. I can go to the store, buy my own stuff, and fix my own thing. And the convenience was, hey, I could do it. But I was like, nah, I'm gonna fix something, and I'm glad I did.
Right.
Well, we're at the place right now where students are. We're just wait. I'll give an example. I had this kid say he wanted to really work out. I was like, okay. Came over to the crib. I gave him my time. I mean, I put this cat through his paces, put myself through my paces. Right? We were just playing the blues. Every chorus we modulated half step. But you know what I realized? The cat wasn't there for the work. He was there for the validation. He wanted me to say that you killing.
Right.
Now I could put you on.
Right.
But when it got tough and he found out what he really couldn't do and he didn't get that validation, I was like, where are you, bro? You supposed to come like next week. Yeah, I got tied up with some other stuff. I said, well, you don't really want it then. Mm-hmm. Because in this practice room, the shed is the place where you get a whipping. Mm-hmm. When his parents say, come on, let's go out to the woodshed.
Right.
When cats are in the shed practicing, the music is supposed to whip up on you. Mm. You're supposed to get like whelps on you from the music. Mm. And the hopes is after the music beats you up, you come out of the shed a better person, right? Beat up on, learn, whatever. Learn your lessons. If you come into my house and we not working on our weaknesses and getting better, then I can't give you any validation, bro. I
Right.
can't tell you how great you sound because we're not supposed to sound great in the practice room.
That's right.
Come on.
I just saw somebody say something about that. Like, you know, I can't remember who it was, but it was like there's no mistakes on social media. You don't see people
Oh
making
yeah,
mistakes.
you don't see him at all.
So, it's that, and that's a hard injection to get off of, man, because it's like it's such a just a go-to at
Yeah,
this,
just the
especially,
feet.
man, with boredom. It's like, or you're sitting and you're, that talk about a goal. It is definitely to get off my phone,
Hey, man, I was in
and
Cuba, bro. We didn't have the internet like that, bro.
but it's like, and again, that's, there's different things that because it's like, for us, it's like our, a lot of times all your work comes through what? Your phone or your computer. So you're
Yeah,
constantly like,
yeah,
but then it's like, man, wait a second. I mean, take a step back. I'm sure that if I don't get to something for an hour, it's going to be fine, or 2 hours, or however whatever you set your paces, to go through for that. But it's like, but that's a tough one, man,
right.
because we're kind of all, I mean, I know some people that you got some people on the opposite side of that, right? Where, man, I sent you this thing 3 days ago and I didn't hear from. Yeah, man. Well, I don't check my phone. I don't check my stuff like that. And I'm just like,
It's like, well, how do you work, bro?
how do
But
you do
you at least say, hey, man, can you give me a special ringtone or something, bro? Take me out of the do not disturb list, bro.
Dude, do not disturb. My brother Anti Harris is king. He let me know. I was like, man, every time I call you, it goes straight to voicemail. It's like, yeah, because you're not in VIP. That's what he said at first,
Yeah.
right? I was like, VIP, what's that? He's like, yeah, I gotta have you at a certain. I was like, man, it was just funny. I was just like,
Right.
I was like, man, whatever, dude,
Right.
whatever. So,
But maybe that's a new goal for us is to cut away the distractions, bro. You know?
well, I mean, I tell you, distractions from, because again, it's like, are you measuring yourself against what somebody else is doing?
Right. Right.
Where you used to have to go out to a gig to see what somebody else was doing.
Yeah.
And that's why everybody was there,
Right.
because they were like, man, I need to see what this cat's been up to.
That's exactly right.
And that was a whole different thing, right?
Yeah.
So, but that was the beauty of, of that, man, was, am I echoing now? It sounds like I have an echo. I'm hearing
No, you sound good to me.
I'm hearing myself for some reason.
Uh-oh.
If there's an echo, let me know. I may have to put my earbuds in.
I don't hear it on my end.
Yeah, I hear it.
Yeah, it's one of those things that you have to really be cognizant of what your time is and not keeping up with the Joneses. But you have to find out. Oh, Tia said it is an echo. So I guess
I put my earbuds in.
Maybe your microphone just defaulted to your whatever.
Oh, that's a good. Let me check that. Let's see.
Yes, because sometimes you get roped into other things.
Mm-hmm.
But just taking the time for yourself and work on what you need to work on.
Right.
People will start understanding. I'm finished with all my coursework. Shout out to Georgia State finishing that up. But I got some advice from my brother John David. He said they give you up to 7 years to complete your dissertation from this point on. He's like, do not wait that. He said, start right now. Do it. He's like, knock it out. He's like, knock it out. So I got a goal that I set up that I'm not going to deviate from. I have 2 days out the week. It's going to be writing days. It's going to be straight on writing. And I can't let anybody disturb me. And guess what?
Mhm.
You know who's as included? My wife is included.
Right.
Not being insensitive, but I told my wife, I said, listen, babe, if you call me during this time, especially if I'm shedding, it's got to be only for emergencies because I'm going to answer the phone, honey.
Right.
But now, if you call me and tell me, man, the weather is beautiful outside, I'm going to hang up on you
Right.
because I'm shedding right now. And this is really important to me. And I will spend time with you. Don't worry about that. But this
Right.
time right here is for my edification, period.
Right.
So during those hours where I'm going to be writing, I have to set the limitations for access for everything, you know. And that's habits. Every book that I read, that's essential habits from successful people.
Well, I was going to ask. So, what's your advice on breaking bad habits? Same old. Because people, we sort of get comfortable
Oh yeah,
with the same old situation,
right.
right? And the accepting what's given rather than going out and getting what you really want, right?
I think it's like
So
what you said. You got to write it down and post it everywhere. It's got to
I
be
think that helps
ever.
a lot, man. I think
It's
that
got
helps a lot.
you got to put it everywhere. I got a dry erase board over my computer, and my dissertation topic is up there, and I look at the problem. I have a problem with a question mark. What is the problem? Then I go through all those steps on there, the dry erase board, and I look at it. So whenever I walk into that room, I see that and I'm like, okay, I got to always think about the issue that I'm dealing with, right?
Right.
And so if you have to break a habit, you got to have it on your mind 24/7.
Right.
If you're and accountability, if you have somebody in your life that can hold you accountable, be like, hey, bro. I mean, plenty of times, me and you talk. You're like, bro, did you really take that gig, bro? Yeah.
Mhm.
But when are you
Mhm.
going? And you kind of can't be thrown off by it because how a cat talks to you may be how they talk. But you gotta look past that and say, well, what are they saying to me? You know what I'm saying? Not to
Mhm.
say that you're
Mhm.
negative or nasty when you talk,
Right.
but you got
Right.
to face the music, is what I want to say. So when you like, there's a guy at church, Dallas Cowboys fan, you be waiting on him, bro.
He be
You be
waiting on me
wait,
too.
he be waiting on you. But to his credit, that when Dallas got blown out by San Francisco, bro, that cat showed up that Sunday. You were like, bro, I was gonna see if you were showing up. He's like, yeah, I had to show up. But you had a respect for the dude. He's like, oh man, he showed up. So
Right.
accountability works that way too. So if I tell you,
Right.
I took a gig, I regret it. I know I'm about to get beat up. I know you're gonna be like, bruh,
Mhm.
how many times, bruh? And I mean, like, you're
Mhm.
right, you're right, you're right, you're right. I got it, I
Mhm.
got it, I got it.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
having people in your life that can help you be accountable and go in the trenches with you is another thing too,
Right. And it's also the kind of thing, like you said, man, it's not gonna, it may not uh penetrate the first time or the second
Right,
time or the third time, but it's
right,
it's about keeping at something because,
right.
you know, trying to break certain habits, man. I mean, it's just not easy to do.
Yeah, you're
It's
comfortable.
it's something that, you've been, especially, I mean, that's where you get into that same it's even if a certain regimen,
Right,
of
right,
whatever that is. I mean, for people that maybe aren't, musicians, or that work a corporate, work in the corporate sector, or are doing some other kind of things. It's like you hear them talk, it's like it's everything, the same thing is just, it's like, and they get so depressed about, because it's like it's the same thing. It's like, how do you've worked so long, you've got long hours, you're tired, man.
right.
It's like, how do you break the monotony of that? And I'm not an expert, and I'm not going to sit here and say that I am on that.
Right,
But I know that there are people out there that can help, that are experts in that's what they do.
right,
They're, whether they're, whether it's some kind of therapist, or people that are, I do, I'm a good organizer. That's like
right,
that's one thing that I'm very good at naturally. People have problems with organization, I can help them with that,
right.
But it is tough, man. It's like breaking the same, especially for us. You're playing the same. You're playing, especially man. You're playing the same gigs, and it's just like, man. Sometimes you just see no way out of that because it's like it's hard, man. It's hard, right? I mean, I'm
It
telling you,
is.
why you laughing?
It
Because it's like
is.
it's like and it's like it's keeping you afloat,
Right.
right? It's keeping you afloat. It's like it's like you do have stuff going on, but it's like you're not happy. Um,
Dude,
you want to
there's a
do some
bass
other
player
things.
that we know. Remember when we were in Alabama, you invited the cat over to the crib just to hang and stuff. This cat was just going through. It looked like it wasn't having any fun at all. And he was,
Right. Yeah.
and you're like, hey, bro, come hang with us. And he was like, really?
Right.
Bro, we come over to
Because
the
he had
crib.
right. Yeah, that was kind of yeah, man. It's like
It
he had
wasn't
never even
right.
experienced, because it's like it just becomes like that. It is showing up, punching the clock, and
Right.
going home. Now, some of that can be on the individual
Definitely
also
could. Yeah.
for not, being whatever you want, being
Right.
social or
Alienate
being,
himself, whatever.
one thing I'm trying to get better, and this is like I'm always sort of like on the fence with this because there's certain people that talk about themselves a little bit too much, right?
Oh my God.
But I'm kind of like on the opposite where I never, I mean, to my close friends or to
Right,
my
right,
family or whatever, they know what's good, but I'm not one of those guys to let people know. And I think I
right.
need to kind of work on that because you never know who you're talking to. You never know who you're going to meet. So you
Yeah.
kind of have to be more open about like, hey man, I'm working on this project, or hey, I am doing this, or I'm doing that. I'm so self-conscious though of because there's so many people that do come from a conceited ego kind of place that you run into and just like, man, this kid is always talking about it. I just, man, I don't want to be that cat, but you do need to be a little bit more like letting people know what's going on with what you're doing. Do you agree or disagree with
Dude, let me show you how right you are. Man, I was in the airport at Cuba getting ready to go to Fort Lauderdale. We had finished our trip, man. I'm sitting there waiting for the flight, man. I'm just by myself, just relaxing a little bit. My brother Dave is a very outgoing type of person. You know, my brother Dave,
True.
you
Of course.
stayed with him.
Right.
So he was struck up this conversation with this guy. I see him look out my direction. I was like, oh man, they're coming over here,
Right.
man.
Right. That's so
Hey, man.
right.
So a guy comes over. He's like, hey man, I used to live in Georgia. He's like, my name is such and such. He's like, I'm a producer and a recording engineer. I live in Nashville, Tennessee. I was like, oh, okay, man, cool. We started talking about people that we know. Found out that he, one of his best friends was at the Apache. Is it Asa? You know Asa?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So he was like, "Oh, I know him." He said, "Man, I knew you." I was talking to your brother. I was like, "Man, I know that cat." I was like, "Man, I never met you before." He was, yeah, I never met you before, but man, I've heard you play a bunch of times. You're killing stuff. He said, "Let
Right.
me introduce you to the guy who I work for."
Right.
I go over to the guy. This guy, I can't think of his last name, but his first name is Doug. I do a quick Google search on the dude. This dude in Nashville mixes all the records, bro.
Right.
Every stuff. Like he's
Right.
got so many Grammys, all these different things from mixing stuff. Strike up a conversation with this dude. This dude tells me, he's like, hey man, let me just give you my card. Well, I give him my card, which is my Kennesaw card. And he's like, whoa, you
Right.
teach college stuff? And at that moment, Chris, I was like, I don't usually talk about myself. I'm real,
Right.
shy about that.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
I tell him, he's like, man, that's great. He's like, dude, he said, I feel there's a connection. It's like, man, your next record, I want to mix it. I was like, huh? How did this happen?
Right.
Right. And I'm like, this
Right.
is I'm a share his contact, his credentials so you can see.
Right.
Not right now, just so
Right.
you can see, But I was like, all this because I put in time and energy into my craft and getting better at it. But like you said, there's a fine line. You got to talk about it, but people don't want to hear you talk about it all the time. But when it's time to talk about what you've done, it's not time to be shy at that point. And that's
Right.
one of my goals for 2024 is like, I do have accolades. I know who I am. I know I'm not a vain person, whatever. But at the
Right.
same time, I need to tell people this is what I'm doing. Am I
Right.
trustworthy? Yeah.
Right.
Can I do projects and deliver a good product? Yeah. So why am I being shy about it? There
Mm-hmm.
are other people who can't deliver and they're talking about themselves.
Get all the
Right.
stuff
Right. There are
based
people
on
talking about,
based on this.
I want to do a podcast.
Mm,
Okay, well, you got to put the work in. You know what I'm saying? You the first one. Okay, bro. If you want to do this, I can teach you how to do this, but it's gonna come at a cost. You
right.
know what I'm saying? But
Right.
you want to do a podcast because you see two other brothers doing. You don't know the sacrifice.
Right.
But yeah, you ask around, be willing to do whatever you need to do it, whatever. But set your goal, work towards it, make your plan. Like you said, keep it in front of you. Have those post-it notes, whatever.
Whatever,
And
man.
yeah, whatever.
Keep it in front of you.
If you working on doing a better paradiddle, write that junk down. Man,
Mm-hmm.
today I'm working toward this paradiddle.
Mm-hmm.
Working toward this. I'm working toward that.
Man, as silly as that sounds, I mean, I just know. I mean, that just has worked. It may
Right.
not work but for me,
Right.
that has really worked.
How are you about managing your time towards something for yourself?
I'm better. You
Okay.
know, I think that I'm sort of still learning how to do that more.
Right.
And because just like you said, it's like sometimes you forget you know you try to be in a humble place all the time. So
Right.
the goal, at least for me, is I'm always trying to tell myself uh what I need to work on, not what I'm quote unquote already good at. It's
Right.
like
Right.
everything needs to work. When you study certain people, I studied whether okay, so I'm a drummer, study other drummers, guys that I dig their playing. I hear them talk about the most basic fundamental, even though they can do the craziest stuff, but it's like their mind is on the basic fundamental things all the time. Like,
Right.
man, I'm so worried about my time.
Right.
It's all I ever think about is like my time. I need to have I'm like, your time is freaking impact
Impeccable.
is ridiculous. You working on other, it's like, man, but no, man. He said that's the first thing I'm working on
Wow.
is I always have to double check that. So it's like this sort of mental game that you play with yourself,
Right. And
of
sometimes you need a cheerleader too. You need somebody to say, like, for instance, you're really good at developing younger people. So, when we on a gig with somebody, and you remember we used to have the Sam Ass Jam session. I said, Chris, I need you, bro.
yeah,
I said, man, I got some cats that they're far above the other people at school at Kennesaw. They need to be in, and I'll call their names out, Patrick Arthur and Brandon Boone.
yep,
They need to be in this environment where they're learning. I need you to put them through the paces. You said, bruh, I'm there. And man, we put them cats through it every Sunday, bruh. When we
mhm,
call the tune, they get ready to pull out iReal Pro. You be like, hey, bruh, don't pull out your phone. Don't pull out your phone. Well, what's
mhm,
going to happen? Well, either you get it or you don't, bro. I mean, you got
right,
to start working toward it. And then one of the best things I heard later on when Patrick said, man, those sessions, man, Sam Ash, that grew us up, man. He's like,
yeah,
if it wasn't for that, we would never be where we are.
right, right. I mean, we hear that a lot. I mean, Darren
Right.
English,
Right.
the one of the most talented people
Right.
uh on the face of the earth. I mean, he can do it.
And
He
so
whatever
much.
he wants to do, he can
Right.
basically do it. You
Right.
know, great looking guy. He lives in South Africa now, but he was here, and
Yeah.
he'll still talk about those days of coming out to 20. It's like, man, you were so hard on us, man, but I loved every minute of it, and that's exactly what I needed.
Right. Right.
And ended up recording with him, going to see take he took
He went
took
to
taking
Africa.
the band to South Africa to play, South African Jazz Fest. I mean, it was a beautiful experience, man. But
Right.
those are the things to me that like really fulfill, especially as we're getting, as we're in the back halves of our careers, man. It's
Right.
like I would love to be in more situations like that.
Right.
but you hear but it's just like you're I get firsthand information from all my friends who are in the school systems. It's just like, man, it's like it is so tough to find
Right.
those who are really hungry for it and who really want to do it, But but yeah, there's always growth that there's always room to grow. I think once you start limiting yourself to growth, I don't know if that's just sort of a self-sabotage kind of thing. I
Yeah.
think a lot of times I think it is. I think it's like because it's like it's not so much that you're looking for, and it's not so much that we think, oh, we're what, but it's like I know I've gotten better from where I was 10 years ago. And it's
Right.
like, but that's a conscious thing. It's like that's not going to happen if I'm just doing the same thing and going through the motions, right? But that's
Right.
the whole self-awareness thing that you kind of have to have is like, man, okay.
It's nothing more validating when a cat leave town, say 10 years ago, and they come to
5 years
Apple
ago
House. Apple
happened
House,
many times, and it's happened many times. Not just that, but it's happened
right?
many
And
times.
many times, but that specific situation, Apple
I
House
do.
jam session. That
Yeah, I
cat
do.
came in and was like, "Man, y'all are killing." It's like we've been shedding, bro. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
I mean, not even thinking
Right.
necessarily about that, but
No, we weren't
it's like,
trying
what'd you
to
think?
show the person that we've improved.
It's like,
It's
what are
just
you supposed to
there.
do? Not work at it? But
Right.
but
Right.
then you do a double take and you go, man, there's a lot of people that don't work at it,
Right.
as we're kind of seeing now, where it's
Right.
like, you know, it's like, man, okay,
Right.
but
It's like something. Go ahead. Go ahead.
no, I was,
Tia said something in the chat earlier what she was working on. Now Tia sings, does a lot of stuff. She says she wants to go beyond the lyrics. She says she want to go to the harmony, learn more harmony, and do stuff like that. This is a person that's still working on their craft. You see what
right.
I'm saying? And that's she's setting a goal for herself that she want to delve more into the harmony more and stuff.
And that's and also and to John Lamatina who's was in, I don't know, I'm not sure if he's still here, who's 76 years old, who just started taking drum lessons with me, and
Wow.
is an accomplished guy who's been playing, who's in New
Right.
York and from New York, and he teaches a bunch of students at his studio in Lawrenceville.
Shout
And
out to John. Yeah.
but he's like, man, there's some things, more things, some modern things that I don't have that I want to try to get,
Right.
and
Right.
that's just that actually, man, has inspired me to like be like, man, even though I feel like I have a pretty good sense of self-awareness in terms of continuing to try to work on whatever it is that I want to work on, but I was like, man, this cat is still trying to get better.
Yeah.
Like, man, shout out to John, because that's just a beautiful thing that I think that it takes a certain amount of what? It takes a certain amount of like humility
Yeah.
to like be like, because I remember, man, I mean, I'm always reaching out to cats, try to get
Yeah.
a lesson, or man, asking a question, or and some of that has not been oh, it's not gonna that ain't gonna I don't do that, or what. I was like, okay, no
Yeah.
problem.
I mean, you take the
That's
risk
cool.
though, right?
Well, all you can do is ask,
Right.
and it's just because it's just all it is. It's just information, man. I
Right.
mean, you just, but that's something that I think, not trying to tell anybody what they should be doing, but it's easier than you think it might be.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes it's just asking. It's
And
just getting
humility, like you said, like John Beal is another keyboard player, but I'm recently redoing my studio stuff. I called him on the phone and I said, "Hey man, there's a lot of sounds, new stuff, East West Coast sounds, all these native instruments. What should I get?" Do you know
Mhm.
that cat called, stayed on the phone with me 2-3 hours? We auditioned sounds, all this kind of stuff. And I was
Wow.
like, man, this dude really helped me out. But I could look at
Right.
this as a competitive thing and say, oh,
Right.
I'm not going to ask him, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
I'm
Right.
like, I know he's got a studio and he's working on stuff and he's going through the sound. So why shouldn't I Ask him.
Right.
You
Right.
know?
Right. Right. So
Man, we
yeah, man.
really chopped it up, man. It's an hour and 40 minutes or something, bro.
I mean, time. I just don't understand where the time goes sometimes. But listen, yeah, we appreciate you guys for hanging out with us. Like us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Spread the word, share the shows. Brother Kari Simmons in the chat. What's going on, my man?
Sir.
Bass player, producer extraordinaire. Actually, I got a rap with you, my man, about a couple of things, and shout out to Tia, great Tia Ricks.
Brian, that's for you right there, baby.
Oh, jeez.
Never forget that fleur de lis, bro.
The New Orleans Cats, man.
Yes, gotta do it.
What's up with Derek Carr, though? Doesn't talk
Used
about
car for sale. Look at my boy John David. I just talked to him about it, man.
John David's in the chat, my man.
Yeah.
John David, drummer extraordinaire. What's going on, my man?
We gotta get him. Gotta get him on the show one of these days.
We
bro.
do. We got to get a lot of people, man. We got to get a lot. I mean, we have sort of we have tried to get. We have a couple of special guests that we're trying to, and we gotta keep working on it, man. We're gonna get them, but we have a lot of local guests that we're friends with that we are going to get y'all on the show. Hopefully sometime soon here. Time is just eating us up with some other stuff.
Yeah, bro.
So
selfish ain't all bad.
Selfish ain't all bad. Glad the cake was a hit. Yes. All right. Selfish isn't all bad.
I gotta get some carrot cake myself, bro.
Well, she knows how to bake.
You didn't save me a slice at all, bro.
There's still some left.
Are you serious?
She put it in the rest of it. Yeah. So I'll bring you one. Slice, put it in the freezer.
Linda says she's gonna make me a fresh one.
Okay. That'll work.
She didn't say. I don't know if she's gonna do it or not.
So recipe from 1935. Hit Linda up. Y'all want some incredible carrot cake.
Yeah. She ain't doing it pro bono though. You got to pay for it.
Well, anything good is worth paying for, right?
That's right. You're right.
So
why don't you put my boy Brian thing up there, bro?
I did. Oh man, I ain't putting that up there.
Yeah, we are.
Oh Lord, have mercy. Oh,
go Saints!
Do they still play football in New Orleans?
We play the Falcons. We play the Falcons this weekend.
Y'all still play football? I don't, because when I watched it. I don't think they play in the same sport anymore, man.
Really? What's the Bears doing, bro?
We don't need to talk about that. We don't need to talk about that.
Oh, somebody corroborated the cake was good, I guess.
Oh, Nia Tate. I don't know who that is. You know that person?
She's one of my favorite friends.
No, that's my wife.
She calls me Ty Weezy.
She came up with the Ty Weezy.
She did. She came up with Ty Weezy. She was the first one.
My wife, Nia Tate. Go check out Nia Tate Photography. Concert photography. She's
Shanita,
on.
I need that picture. I need that print.
Which one?
Craig Shaw, bro, the bass. I got it.
Oh yeah. Oh, we got one. She has some prints here.
She's told me I need to have it though.
Okay.
And I gotta get my calendar too. So
yes,
Shanita, I got you. I'm gonna pay for it. Don't give me no pro bono. I got you.
Yes.
Thank you.
So, all right, guys. Thank you for hanging out with us.
I gotta go for you too, my brother. Before we go,
okay.
I gotta go.
Okay.
You gotta go on a trip with your wife, bro.
Oh yes, that's yeah. Well, I'm working on that.
Okay.
So
gotta do that.
Stephanie Scott, what's going on, Stephanie? Hope you are well. Says Happy New Year. And my wife says, I got you. So yes. I don't know if you saw that one.
Yes.
So yeah, man. So I think we have everybody. Do we acknowledge everybody? So I think we are good.
All right.
Unless you
All right.
got any,
Hey, I got a couple of shows I could plug.
please.
January 14th, Balzer Theater. Our next Jazz at the Balzer show is going to be Dr. Gordon Vernick with
Oh,
Audrey Shakir.
check. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Come on out. Shanita, if you want to take some pictures, I got your ticket for you. Got a free ticket for you. And some other stuff.
Audrey doesn't live here anymore, right? She lives in
No, Audrey's back. She moved back.
Oh, she is back. Okay.
Yeah.
Know
And
that.
then in February 18th, EC3 is going to be at Jazz at the Balzer Theater.
Okay.
So yeah, he's got a good little following. So we're hoping that the place sell out too.
Okay.
With that.
Mm-hmm.
And looking for more stuff. We might have this organist. I'm not going to say any names. We might have an organist at the Balzer Theater in April, and I will say that this person may be taking over the reins that was left behind from Joey DeFrancesco. So
Okay.
that might be a really good one. So I'm looking to do more stuff with the Balzer Theater, of course. Chris, we got to get your group back in maybe in the summer. So,
Yeah, or later in the
might
year,
be,
whatever.
yeah. It might be cool since you got on this exploration thing. So, yeah, looking forward to it.
Mm-hmm. Well, cool, man. Well, sounds good. I'll be playing tomorrow night. If y'all like FM radio, 70s rock, pop, and funk, come check out the Mike Veal Band tomorrow night at Tin Roof Cantina. Just get started around there about 8:30. And other than that, I don't think there's anything else going on. January is normally a little slower for gigs and for shows and stuff like that.
It's
so
okay.
It's
got a
fine.
recording session on Friday.
Yep, we are going in to record and get that ball rolling for the Chris Burroughs Collective. So we'll be at 800 East recording with our great engineer and brother Marty Kearns, who I just had a great conversation with today.
Nice.
And so really looking forward to taking that journey. So Brother Kari, if you're over there, I will see you. I will talk to you about a couple of things if you are in your room over at 800. Otherwise, I will give you a ring and we will talk. But other than that, man, thanks for hanging out.
Yes, sir.
And we should be on. Are there any foreseeable Tuesdays that you have prior commitments to? I don't see any for me right now, but we'll let you know. But otherwise, we will be here, same bat time, same bat channel.
Yes, sir. We'll be here in the new year.
In the new year, 2024.
Mm-hmm.
Local Musicians XP podcast. Thank you, everybody. We will see you all next week. Peace.